What if I told you that a game with a disastrous launch experience went on to break records just 16 days later? So today, let's take a look at this wild story behind Helldivers 2, observing the issues and major crises it had to overcome quickly, along with what kind of records it ended up breaking, and whether or not this entire achievement was just a giant fluke, or was there truly something special about this game? Now, what kind of problem did Helldivers 2 actually face until its entire team were in crisis mode and made headlines like these? Well, there were quite a few. For starters, the game was at one point literally unplayable for some people, as it was riddled with tons of crash-related issues. And to make matters worse, Helldivers 2 is a co-op game, and many had to unfortunately end up playing the game solo because you just couldn't find lobbies, leading to community-made solutions helping others at the time. And just 2 days later, the team managed to squeeze out a quick patch to solve as many crashes and bugs as possible. But the quick fixes were short-lived when Helldivers 2 would now start giving people genuine sadness instead of frustrations. Let me explain. Imagine your typical day where you would go out and about handling responsibilities, being absolutely focused on the task at hand, and then you come back home after a long day, waiting excitedly to boot up your machine, only to encounter... What? You literally couldn't log in, and that was because the game had a limit to how many people could play at one time. Now keep in mind that the limit they had was pretty generous, considering the first game had 6,000 plus players as its highest peak count record on Steam. And the developers were aware of this major issue as they quickly rolled out a patch on 12 February, increasing the total player capacity from 250,000 to 360,000. Now that's a lot more people who can now play. Surely that is more than enough. And to make matters worse, as people started pouring in, players began discovering that leaving their PS5 on rest mode during Helldivers 2 ended up taking player slots, as the game still registered them as being logged in. Now granted, many probably weren't initially aware and later began to turn off their consoles more once this issue came to light. And for the next few days, I kid you not, a brand new patch would be served to the community fresh from the oven, with the developers doing their best to solve as many bugs and fixes, all while working on the server issue that was still present. And it was during this period that even the CEO himself took to social media to regularly communicate updates about the team, being transparent about the entire situation. However, it didn't take long for the game to continue suffering from success, as the devs were eventually forced to cap their player limit to 450,000 while the team continued working on stabilizing it instead, ensuring for a more smoother playing experience. And you know, this is a company that really listens to feedback, because on 22nd February, they actually implemented an AFK timer that will automatically kick people to ensure that nobody will hog up precious server space. Then came 23rd February, where they managed to increase the server capacity to a whopping 700,000. And players could now rest easy, knowing that future weekends of democracy would be available, when the CEO himself even shared that the servers no longer ran into any more problems. But amidst the chaos and crisis the team had to weather, something beautiful actually happened. Now, while the team was just earnestly working hard, they probably didn't realize that they were leaving their mark in gaming history at the same time. Because from the moment the game launched, within hours, Helldivers 2 managed to surpass God of War as PlayStation Studios' highest peak concurrent players record on Steam. And as the game continued getting those patches and server capacity expansions, the game actually overtook giants like GTA 5 to become Steam's 20th highest all-time peak concurrent player count. And all of this happened within 16 days after Helldivers 2 was released. So now it's been 2 months since launch, and maybe some people may now look back and ask, did the game break records just because of that new game hype? Or was there truly something special about Helldivers 2? Well, how about you take a look and see for yourself. Yes, in case you didn't know, the game is undoubtedly very, very special. And to blow your mind even more on how many people actually play this game, just look at this one exchange between a fellow Helldiver and an Apple support staff. Literally reciprocated the most democratic response ever, like it was no big deal. It's things like this that truly make the game and its community what it is today. And the best part of all, the devs still regularly communicate and roll out new shiny toys for the community every so often, making the game feel like it's in a good place for the foreseeable future. And while the game still has some bugs, pun intended, with more time, the game can only get better moving forward. But seriously though, Arrowhead, you gotta give us the ability to color our drip. And if you thought the entire story behind Helldivers 2's success was pretty wild, maybe you'd enjoy finding out how a plastic chair ended up becoming a massive meme in the gaming community right here.